establishment. The power of spiritual authorities. Hallelujah. And we are kickstarting this teaching series with a sermon titled Understanding Spiritual Coverings. Understanding Spiritual Coverings. Our anchor scripture is Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 15. It says, "And I will give you pastors after mine own heart." I will give you pastors based on what my heart wants. Because I know the deposit I made in that man. The worst thing that can happen to an individual is to be connected to a person who has nothing for them. They will be teaching, you will be confused. Everyone will be enjoying. My father is deep in revelation. You are wondering which one? Because nothing is deep as far as you are concerned. The worst thing that can happen to a man is to be married to a woman he doesn't know, he doesn't believe is beautiful. Everyone keeps on saying your wife is the best. I look at the eyes. You are like, I don't like these eyes. Her body, you are like, which one? Ask your neighbor, are you married correctly? Are you sure you are in the right place? Hey! No, listen. Just imagine you are working in a place that everyone is envying it, but it is not your place. You are going there and you are like, I hate my job. And yet someone is like, if I can get a breakthrough and work there. Hey. There are many people who have pastors that they are not theirs. I hope you are not in the wrong place right now. Let me tell you something. God Almighty. I have few minutes, but I have many things in my heart. My God. He said, I will give you pastors. Let me leave these things. I have a whole month to teach. I will give you pastors according to my heart, who will feed you with knowledge and understanding. Every pastor has a certain deposit of knowledge and understanding. You see, if you are a Royal Assembly person, you watch free to air, you don't get anything. Because you are wondering, what is this man preaching? Never criticize another pastor because he's not yours. His people are enjoying him. You are not enjoying because it's not your place. It's not your place. You're like, why do these people go? Let me tell you something. You will know a church is yours when any other church doesn't make sense. If you still have options, you have not found. Imagine a guy who's proposing you and he's still looking at other girls. What will you say? What shall I say unto the Lord? What will you say? That's why the old vows of marriage, they will say, forsaking every other and coming just after you. What did they mean? If you have found one, you settle. You will know you have not found your church when you are still entertained elsewhere. Ask your neighbor, are you sure you are in the right place? Can I tell you something? I know that I'm not everybody's pastor, so I don't care. There are people who can never call me a prophet because to them, I'm not a prophet. You know, like some of my family members, relatives. To them, I'm Boago as a Boago. For you to think of calling me Boago, it doesn't even enter your mouth. It's an error. To just look at me, Boago, you can't do that. So to them, he said, there were many lepers in the days of Naaman. But unto none of them was Elijah sent, except to Naaman. There were many widows in those days, and yet he was not sent to all of them, but to one. Sir, I may be sent to one. I don't care about the multitudes. I don't care about the multitudes. Let me tell you something. If a guy can break up with you, he was never yours. If you can imagine your life outside of me, that you can threaten me with a breakup, you were never mine. You will know the person is right when even in their errors, they still return. Sir, when you preach, before you preach, you talk to your young wife. Can I ask you something? Bring microphone. Bring microphone. Put it on. Give to this man. I ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever had a disagreement with your wife after marriage?
Yes, sir.
You have had?
Yes, sir.
But you call her a young wife. You say young, beautiful. After you had a disagreement, did you sleep at the office or you went back home?
Back home.
Why are you going back to something that you had a disagreement with? Why are you going back? It does not mean that when you have found your place, you will like all the time everything, but you still go back. If a person still looks elsewhere, they were never yours. I'm not everybody's pastor. I said to one of my spiritual sons, the motto of his church, he said, everybody's church. I said, that's a wrong church. There is no church that can be everybody's church. Everybody, including Judas's. Everybody, including Alexander the Coppersmith, who will do you much evil. Everybody. Even Gehazi. Everybody. Never. This church is not everybody's church. You may not regard me. Let me tell you something. You know a place is your place. When what is taught it is not even difficult to comprehend. If my teachings are difficult to you, please look for another church. You can go back to Block 5. If let me tell you something, you will know it's your place that your look, even in disagreement, you still find your way there. Yeah. It's a place of refuge. It's home. Where else would I go? After disagreement with your young, beautiful wife, you still go back to the same place.
Yes, sir.
Do you sleep in another room or in the same bedroom?
Same bedroom.
After disagreement?
Yes, sir.
You are lying. Tell the truth, sir. Are you telling the truth?
Yes, sir.
Eh?
Yes, sir.
It's true.
It's true.
Disagree and still go back to the same bedroom.
Yes, sir.
Kinda shy. Chances are in the morning you are in the same car going to work.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you let her take another, maybe taxi or something? I can't say Uber, you don't have it here. Don't get me started, baby. Why don't you take a taxi, leave her with the car? You are still. Because I have found my one. If I'm not your one, just leave now. I have notes there. I will preach them one day. Yeah. You see why people change churches? Because they have not found their one. I can't imagine my life outside of Komaya. To go away and call who what? And call who what? To go away. Go away. Yeah. I can't imagine myself outside of Bishop Wedepo and call who my father? Who? And call who? What? What? I can't imagine any other praise but the praise of Royal Assembly. There is no. Sometimes when I get invited to go and preach, you know what I do? I ask them. I say, please, can I come 5 minutes before the time of preaching? Because I don't want to get there and you are singing something, you are dancing like this. Do you know that I don't know any? Somebody wanted to introduce me to Maverick and Elevation, the most boring album I've ever heard in all my life. Is because I found my place. Too boring. I listen, I say, which song? Say, can I have the Billions? Can I have the? I don't know. Some of those things I say, okay, no problem. Sure. Sometimes I hear people saying that they are watching people on TBN and everything. I'm like, really? Let me try. I tried. Within 5 seconds, I'm like, okay, fine. There is one pastor I enjoy. BF. I listen to him. He blesses my life. I listen to Komaya. Look. Sometimes listening to many pastors is not a sign of wanting to grow. It's a sign of confusion. No, Oga. If your wife has fed you at home, would you enter KFC?
No, sir.
To do what? Because you left home satisfied.
Yes, sir.
Why are you not satisfied that you are looking elsewhere? Every latest preacher you know. I know this one from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Israel. I know the prophet from Kenya. I know this one. What are you looking for? What are you looking for? Sanana po, sanana. What are you looking for? What are you looking for? What are you looking for? The first time I heard Pastor Komaya preaching, 2005, September, he was wearing a black suit, black shirt, black tie, black socks, black shoes. He took the microphone from the pastor that they were transferring him from here. He took the mic from him. I remember the first words he said. He said, I speak as an accredited son of a prophet. I speak to you and you and you and you. We've never heard that before. So we are just watching. I went home. The first sermon I heard him preaching, I got home. I was hungry. I cried. I said, Lord, I wish I could listen to him all day long. I just met this man. His voice was sweet to my ears. I could not get him. I bought all the sermons I could buy. You know why some people don't have my sermons? I'm not your pastor. No, you are passing. You go charity move. So that you don't backslide. You don't get there battered by life. Yeah, I'm still holding you for somebody. That's why you don't have my sermon. There is no day that will pass I've not listened to my father. For where? There is no day I've not listened to my father. Ever. That day will never come. It will never come. It will never come. When I hear him, there is something inside me Yeah. I will give you pastors according to my own heart. So this month we will show you how to know who is your father. On Sunday I say, who is your prophet? I will preach on Sunday. There is nobody I give that one. I take it. Personal. I don't think this month I will give anybody to preach. I preach everywhere. So if you people were praying that I give you, forget it. Forget it. I preach everything this month. This month. It is God who says, I will give you. You don't go to a prophet because you like his beard. The day I cut it, you go to another. Prophet Yumbe. God says, I will give you. Now, look at another anchor scripture. I've not even entered anything of the sermon of today. Another anchor scripture. 2 Chronicles chapter 15 and verse 3. 2 Chronicles 15 and verse 3. Yes, and in those days, Israel, for a long time, Israel did not have the true living God. For a long time, Israel did not have the true living God, and they did not have a teaching priest. Is it the one? They didn't have a teaching priest. Eh? Without the true God, and without the teaching priest, and without the law. God, prophet, word. Talk about dryness. God, dololo. Pastor, dololo. Word teaching, dololo. And everyone did as they wished. Now, look at verse 5 of it. It says, in those days, there was no peace to anybody coming in or going out. There was so much vexation in the land. When you don't have a teaching priest, you cannot know the true living God. And when you don't know the true living God, you cannot have peace. You can't. When I get here, I talk a lot. I think I should stand here until I finish my sermon. They did not have a teaching priest. Hear this. Your spiritual covering determines your exposures of God. How you know God is dependent on who is your spiritual covering. You can never know the Bible beyond who is teaching it to you. You know, for example, people take John 10. The thief cometh not but to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And they say, Satan comes not but to steal, to kill, and to destroy. What a wrong teaching. It's not true. Read that Bible. That thing is not about Satan forever and ever. No. But the pastor who taught you and told you Satan, all your life you are thinking it's about Satan. When you read from verse 1, he's talking about the Pharisees and the teachers of the law who deprived the people of the right knowledge of God. And he said, anybody who does not enter by the door is a thief. So he says, you Pharisees and Sadducees, you are thieves. The thieves are not Satan. The thieves are those who deprive people of the real teaching of the word of God. But you see, if your pastor told you that the thief is the devil, and then you are leading prayer, the thief cometh not but to steal, to kill, and to destroy. Let us destroy the destroyer. By fire. By fire. By fire. By fire. Every thief of my life. Every thief. Have you ever heard people praying funny prayers? Anybody who has swallowed my wife, vomit my wife. Vomit my destiny. The devil that swallowed my destiny, vomit my destiny. If you vomit something, doesn't it have vomit on it? So you have a wife with vomit. That's why there is marital problem. Your wife was vomited by the devil. Your destiny was vomited by the devil. Whoever teaches you determines your exposure. Determines your exposure. I heard my mentor, Bishop Jakes, over the weekend. And he was talking about the story of the woman who was caught in adultery. You know what Bishop Jakes said? He said, the issue was not the sin of the woman. The issue was the testing of Jesus' wisdom. It was not about that woman. It was about Jesus. The woman was an occasion to test him. I'm like, what? I've never heard that before. So it was not so much about this woman was caught in adultery. Because chances she had committed adultery before. They never brought her. That's why they didn't even bring the man that was committing adultery with her. Who does adultery alone? Who does adultery alone? You are just sitting in the living room watching TV and people are saying you are committing adultery. And one scholastic background says the reason why they didn't bring the man is because the man was one of them. So they didn't bring one of their own. They now put everything on the woman. So now Bishop Jake says, forget the woman. The issue is not the woman. The issue was to see how Jesus will handle this. It could have been any situation. Who teaches you? Who teaches you? Whoever teaches you as a spiritual covering programs your mind for how you see the Bible. You know, when I read Genesis chapter number 1 of the creation, for me, apart from the creation itself, I also see the order that we are supposed to eat our food. Genesis 1, what does God say? He said he started with the water. And then he made the fish and then the herbs and all of that. Cows were made on the 7th day. You don't eat what you are made with. You eat a cow, you can eat a human being. You are wondering what I'm saying? The order of creation is the order of nutrition. You will go and check it. I won't tell you now. You will go. It's the order. Your body is made up of 70% water. True or true? There can't be false in it. The whole earth is made of 70% water. Eh? Yeah. So, the first thing God did was to create water platforms, separate the waters. And then from there, he went into herbs. You must drink more water and eat more herbs. Yeah. And then for beef was made on the 7th day. Cows were made on the day human beings were made. Do you know that you were made the same day as the cows? On the 6th day. Do you know that? Human beings were not the only ones made that day. Even cows. Yeah. You are not putting it on the screen. Are you a cow? Oh, I'm joking. Let the earth bring forth grass and it go to the 6th day. Yeah. The fruits and all of that. You see, they were made all before. And then the cows were made on the same day as human beings. That's why if they advise you, they will tell you that, hey, if you can live without beef, please do. If you come from Botswana, it's a dangerous thing to say. Much more if you come from Central. Lenyalo le wana go bola dikgomo tse 4 go Central. Tse 4. Go te go gopelwa rakgadi, go te go gopelwa yo bolaileng kgomo, yo we radileng, and then go ta jwa go tsona o irwa mokoto. They don't know what to do with it. Ba ira dio tse di hakamatsa, tse di harologane. Ra e besa ka ha re ntse re bua ka. Ra e jana makakwa. But those are the things that are not good for your body. But whoever teaches you determines what you see of the Bible. Understanding spiritual. It's not going to any church and you say, hey, I just want, today I felt like, I just felt like going to church. You will get to a church and then the person looks at you and tells you that until you pray at 3 a.m., you can never be married. Because 3 a.m. is when demons are much active. Sir, in my sleep, I slay demons. You have to be awake at 3 a.m. And then they'll tell you, when you are praying, face north. And then from there, face south. And then from west. And then to east. And then you pray. When you are praying, put your hand on your head. And the other one on the... Your spiritual covering shapes your mentality. Now look at this as I plan to round up. We will get there. Malachi chapter 4 and verse 5. Look at what the Bible is saying. Try to be faster, Mr. Mid-Year. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Say, before the day of the Lord, I will send you Elijah the prophet. Look at verse 6. Verse 5. Continue. And he shall turn the hearts of the fathers. Are you hearing? To what? To the children. And the heart of the children to their fathers. He said, if that is not happening, I come and I smite the earth with what? A curse. Okay. Watch this. He says, from verse 5, sir, give me verse 5 again. I want to show you the Bible. Behold, I send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. Who is Elijah? Who was this Elijah that came? He's not going to come. When John the Baptist came, he came like one in the anointing of Elijah. Are you getting what I'm saying? So this scripture, before the dreadful day of the Lord, which Lord? Jesus. So John the Baptist was to come before Jesus. Are you getting? Stop looking at me confused. He came before Jesus and he said, I will send Elijah before that day. Who was Elijah? John the Baptist, coming in the anointing and the grace of Elijah. And he said, and he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children. So when Jesus came, the arrival of Jesus was the beginning point of the release of the spirit of fatherhood. Are you getting? And he says, when this fatherhood and sonship is not established, I will come and smite the earth with a curse. Much more now as we approach the end of the times, there must be an establishment of fatherhood and sonship. Believers who don't know where their fathers are will suffer what the Bible says in that last portion. I will smite with a curse. Why? Because you are alone. What does the Bible say? Woe unto him that is alone. Woe is the highest form of a curse. Is somebody hearing? Jesus came to establish the relationship of spiritual fatherhood and spiritual sonship. That's why in his talking from time to time, my Father who has sent me, I am of my Father's business. I can of myself do nothing, but as I see the Father, so do I. So Jesus is coming. Watch this. Whoever is your spiritual covering determines your understanding. Jesus was not here for sin. No. But if your pastor told you that Jesus came for the sins of the world, you are in trouble. When you are to get born again, sin is not included in the equation of salvation. Have you ever realized that? No, it's in Romans chapter number 10. Is it Romans 10? He says, if you will confess, if you believe in your heart the Lord Jesus, and you confess with your mouth that he is your Lord, then you shall be saved. Show me where sin is included. Salvation has nothing to do with sin. Salvation has everything to do with fatherhood. Who is your daddy? If you are not born again, you are Satan's child. Finished. Ask your neighbor, who's your father? If you are not born again, you are Satan. So salvation is not about sinfulness and lack of sin. Come on, BF. Let's do this. Christianity has nothing to do with sin. You know why you struggle with sin? Because you have made Christianity about sin. That Christianity means a sinless life. Christianity means being fathered by God. It doesn't mean sinless. It doesn't mean sinless. But they told you that Christianity is about, hey, if you don't live right, hey, if you don't. And then when you preach these ones, they are like, you are making people to sin. You know why you feel guilty all the time? You do something you believe is not Christian? Because you have made Christianity about sin and lack of sin. Far be it. Christianity is about fatherhood. What does the Bible say? The Bible says we are joint heirs together with Christ. We are joint heirs together with Christ. Who is this Christ? He called God my Father. So he said to his disciples, I go to my God and your God, my Father and your Father. Jesus came to make the world, to make the people who are not of God, to become the children of God. That's it. Christianity is about fatherhood. Now, children and fathers, parents, let me ask. Have you ever had disagreements with your parents at any point? Have you? Have you? Especially when you were, puberty was hitting. Yeah? Mama come no noka. And not in my house, I enter. Whoever buys the electricity determines the jurisdiction. Yeah. Have you ever been beaten by your parents for something they didn't like? Did that stop you from being their child? You whose nose looks like your father's nose, when your father was angry at you, did it stop your nose from continuing to look like your father's nose? When your black father beat you, did you become Caucasian? Christianity is about fatherhood. Forget sin. That's why Jesus is dying on the cross. He says, okay, once and for all, let me settle this thing. I die for your sins of the future. So forget sin. Look at it. Jesus he says, forget sin. Sin should not be anywhere that we mention anything. I have died for all those sins. If at all you think sin, then it's paid for. It's like me giving you an eternal voucher of petrol, which you are wishing I should. And you can go to any petrol station and fuel your car. Anytime you need fuel, would you come to me and say, Daddy, I need fuel? You see, when you don't know, this card gives you access to fuel stations and you can fuel anytime. You will still be calling me, Daddy, hey, the car is on E. Why are you saying that? Ignorance. But if you know you have an internal card, why am I pampering you? If you know you have eternal access to fuel, anywhere you get to, you just fuel. That's why he says they know not, neither do they understand. They walk all in darkness. They are experiencing what others are experiencing. Christianity is about fatherhood, not sin. Sin is far from the equation. Why do people backslide? Because they don't know God. You think that God will discard you because you slept with 100 women in 3 months? No. Wait a minute. You think God will discard you because you ate your tithe the whole year? Do you know what God did? He went ahead and paid the price only for him to discard you for eating on the day you are fasting. Are you for real? Are you telling me that the sacrifice of Jesus is equivalent to potatoes? Potatoes. So for potato, you will miss heaven. You are insane. For potato. But you see, you have made Christianity about do and don't. If I don't, I'm done. If I do, I'm good. I've not called my parents the whole of this week, but they are my own. I've not called them. I think even last week I've not called them. Even the week before I didn't call. So it's been kind of like 3 weeks, if not 4 or 5, maybe 7. I've not seen my parents. I think the last time I saw my parents was what? When my mother came that time. When was that? I can't remember. Was it January? I think it was January. That was the last time I saw them with my eyes. That is my mother. My father, I saw him, I think, January 2. Yeah. But that there is a distance doesn't mean they are not my parents. You see, God is in heaven and I'm here. Doesn't mean that is not my dad. Can I drop it like I like it? That you have not prayed doesn't mean that you are not a Christian. But you see, you don't want that. You don't want that because you are too religious. So prayer for you is fulfilling a religious appetite to feel like, oh, I've talked to God. That's why prayers are not working, because you are doing them out of duty. If I pick a phone right now and I call my dad, I'm calling for a purpose. We are talking about this. Okay, when I next come, take me to the kettle post. I'm calling for a purpose. But you are praying because if I don't pray, consistent. Born. I've not talked to my parents for 3 weeks or 4. When I call them, if it's tomorrow or next week, I won't call and be feeling like, where will I start? How will I start? I just pick, call. Mawedi, liteng, lazo. Liteng go, nya rete, ba kae bana, nya ba teng ba tso. Ba godile. Re ta ba tisa. Le taleng kwano wa ya ke la ritse rona re ta ha ritile. E ta ritile be re bone. Nyame ne kere ke le tole. Nyame go siame, bye. Ba dumela ko lapeng, ba ta dumela. Le bana ka kom ba dumela, ba ta dumela. Bye. Look at your prayers. They are not producing because they are prayed out of duty and out of guilt and out of condemnation and out of fear. I would rather you don't pray the whole month and pray once and it does miracles than to pray every day and there is nothing. Because Christianity is not well defined to you by whoever started you out. So whoever you subject yourself to gives you the knowledge of what this Christianity thing is. I'm not going to hell for a potato. I won't go to hell for a potato. You have created your own righteousness. You have created your own Christianity. That I fast every Monday. When you have not fasted that Monday, you see your marriage destroyed. And yet it wasn't God who said that. You are the one who said, every Monday I fast. You have made your own righteousness. That, I dress like this. The day you are wearing what is not that, you feel guilty that, I have sinned. Sir, when I started ministry, I could not even go to church wearing a jean. It was always suit and tie. When I was doing ministers training, the first ministers training, you guys, 2011, you remember we were using the garage of my house then. I will wake up, bath, wear a suit, and go to the garage and teach them. It was that serious. I have the pictures to prove it. It was that serious. I will never forget when I went to the US for the first time, 2015. I got to this store. And I tried this because it was when the skinny jeans were coming in. So I tried the skinny jean. I took a picture on the mirror. I sent it to First Lady. I'm like, yo. I don't know, man. I don't know. Hey, I don't know. I don't know. Hey, I don't know. I don't know. I made my own Christianity. That a pastor means suit, tie, formal. That's what I call formal. If I'm not, look, I wear suits and ties because I love them. Not because if I'm not wearing them, God won't use me. Are you kidding what I'm saying? For some of you right now, as I'm preaching this, there is a conflict in your mind. Because Christ was defined, we are like, either I regret ever going to there. I wish I had heard this when I just got born again. You know what? The reason why some of you young ladies don't want to get married to pastors is because of the pastors' wives you have seen. Oh, when I become a mamuruti, I must do this hairstyle. I must dress like this. Dress your style. Do yourself. Do yourself. I'm not under any pressure to impress you, to prove that I have faith. I'm not. I'm not under any pressure. What I do is what is my taste, what I like. Mutu ke wa apere sepoti mo kerekeng. Mme go le bagala ere ene ya ka ke style sa gago. Ke ene. Ba te ke ene teddy bear. Oh, Dad. That's his style. But here you are living a lie in the name of Christianity. You are living a lie. You are not a Christian. You are a liar. You are living a lie. You are married to a prayer warrior. When you know you like nasty girls, but here you are married to a prayer warrior. Here you are. You know you like naughty girls, but you just want, madam, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. And every moment you are in town and you see one of those nasty, naughty girls with one short skirt like that, you're like, you get thee behind me, Satan. There is no Satan. It is your wiring of God. It is your wiring of God. You are married to the best guy in church, but he's not your guy. He's not your guy. You know the kind of man you are into. But because he appealed spiritually. And every girl at church was like, you mean this guy is yours? He should have gone to them, not to you. Yeah. Yeah. Rather be single than to marry somebody that is not your type. Just be single. I would rather be bored by myself. At least I have an excuse, I'm alone. Than to be bored with somebody next to me. And I'm like, I try to converse, and when they reply, you can hear that they didn't get anything. And you're like, oh, why? Here you are. Just because I wear shoes doesn't mean you should wear them. If it's not you, don't. What's happening to you? It's not you. But what did they tell you about Christianity? Yeah. Long skirts. All the way there. Yeah. Christians, very funny. They go to the swimming pool wearing shirts. They enter the swimming pool with t-shirts, long-sleeved, because they don't want to show their upper body to women. Women. I was in Hawaii. Everyone was putting on hot pants. I'm like, this place is full of the devil. I'm telling you something. If ever Satan stays somewhere, he's not in hell. In fact, the H is not for hell. The H is for Hawaii. No, the H is not for hell. And guess what? It was so normal. Everyone was putting on hot pants, genie hot pants, all sorts of hot pants, and they are just walking about in the mall, everywhere. I mean, day one, I was like, the devil is here. I rebuke you. Get thee behind me, Satan. Day two, I was getting used. Day three, I was like, bring it on. When I see anybody not wearing a hot pants, I'm like, can't tell a guy. Yay! Blow the whistle. Come over. I'm this side. I want me some hot pants. You see, your pastor won't talk like this because he feels somehow. That's why some people can't follow Christianity, because pastors look like they never really, they are holy. They don't make mistakes. They don't make mistakes. Dr. Mike Murdoch delivered me some years back. He said, never follow a person who seems like they never make mistakes. Don't follow a person who does. I'm here, I'm like, I can't talk about, I saw a woman with hot pants. I saw them. I saw those Hawaiian boom booms. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. You are with your girlfriend, you are with your wife, a hot number passes by. You can't say, baby, look at that. You are like, and in your heart, you know you are turning, looking back. And you're like, and then you are like, ah. She says she's praying for me. So the other day, I think it was yesterday. So the other day we are in the car, we are running around looking for things for the church and all of that. And then I see this young lady. She was driving one Polo TSI or something. And she's having an ice cream and she's licking it. And I'm like, that girl is licking ice cream. So she's like, so you are seeing other women while you are with me. I'm like, yeah, I'm seeing her. She's there. She's licking the ice cream. She said, you want to go to her? I said, yeah, I've even waved at her. Hi. So her car passed by. I said, oh, the girl of the ice cream passed. And then it stopped ahead of us. So the traffic light opened, and then I'm like, oh, she stopped here. She's here. She's licking the ice cream again. And she's like, I don't want to. Don't do that. What did he say? You're like, I don't like that. And I'm like, how about it? How about it? But you see, there are some husbands that because what am I talking about here? I know it took a little bit longer. I'm talking about the righteousness you have created, and it's not from the Bible. You have been told, don't do banka. It's ungodly. You can't tinge your hair. It's ungodly. You can't do what? It's ungodly. Where in the Bible? Where? You have put your own measures. Whoever teaches you determines what you see of God. Your teacher is exactly the demonstration of God. Wrong teachers will give you the wrong God. There are some people that God is a punisher. You do one thing, devourers are coming. God is a punisher to them. Sir, anytime I worship my God and I say thank you to him, I know who he is. There is no mistake I have made, and he said, I'm taking away my anointing. Never. Can I say something dangerous here? The best times that God used me was when I felt the worst. When I didn't even think he will talk to me. Because at that time, see, sometimes you make a mistake. You take God like your own parents. When you didn't wash the dishes, they are like Raouj. God is not like your biological father. So much so that because I ate my tithe, so he's not. The times that I heard the voice of God big was when I thought I can't hear it again. That's the time I heard it. Let me close. What's the time? It's up. So, Malachi says, there has to be a restoration of fathers and sons. Sonship and fatherhood is the prominent kingdom agenda in this season. Did you hear what I just said? More than ever before, fathers must know their children and children must know their fathers. It's not about accolades, but about connectivity. It's not about just calling someone my father when they are not yours. There must be proofs that you are connected. One of the greatest dangers of our generation is that we have a lot of church members and few spiritual children who acknowledge fathers, and we have a lot of pastors and few fathers. Let me tell you something. Pastors and teachers and prophets can teach you, prophesy you, that's it. They don't even care about your life. Now, understand Royal Assembly, because God gave me a mandate. He said, father my children. You are God's children, but he said I should father you for him. Is somebody hearing? What does father my children mean? It is not everyone preaching that is a father. There are people that preach to you. They don't care whether you are in a relationship or not. You just come and tell them I'm getting married. That's when they know. And then they say they officiate. What happens because of you, it's up to you. That's why accountability is big here, because it's a family. It's a fatherhood and sonship relationship. Do you think I can have a child and my parents don't know? No. But I can travel from here to Lobate and come back. My parents don't know, because at the level of my growth, I can make some decisions outside of them. Is somebody hearing? At the level of my growth. We have many pastors and few fathers. Many church members and few sons and daughters. Your standard one teacher. Maybe some of you have heard your standard one teacher died. Did they leave any inheritance for you? Teachers, preachers don't give any inheritance. Only fathers have an inheritance. That's why God wants continuity. So he's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who now is the God of David. David, who is the father, the great-grandfather of Jesus. Now we are in the same lineage. Where there is no fatherhood, there is no continuity. You are starting afresh. The struggles of many believers is because they are not fathered. They don't have a spiritual covering. Not that they are not born again. They don't have a spiritual covering. Salvation, they are born again. Covering, they are not covered. That's why anything comes and anything goes. Sir, I can start January to December. I don't even realize any problem that comes my way. I am covered. Right in this auditorium, we are covered. If it's raining, it won't even get in. Because there is no, rather there is a covering. When you don't have a covering, you are open to anything and everything. The winds of life, the heat of life can just dash on you. The winds are blowing on you. The storms of life are pouring on you. Have you ever seen people that go from one challenge to the other? They are not covered. They are not covered. They are not covered. Listen to this. Everyone has a place allocated for their spiritual covering. Everyone. Your spiritual covering determines your portion in life. That is your inheritance. Listen to this. Everyone without a father runs a risk of life. For spiritual fatherhood and covering provides a kind of covering that no other method can provide. Let me give you this testimony, in fact, of Bishop Oyedepo. Some years back, early morning, 6:30 a.m., they just finished their morning prayer. Pastor E.A. Adeboye, who is the spiritual father of Bishop Oyedepo, arrives at their place, begins to pray and pray, binding the spirit of death. So he now tells Bishop Oyedepo, he said, I had a vision. I was seeing the living among the dead. You were the living among the dead. He said, the moment the vision ended, I drove all the way here. At that point, Bishop Oyedepo was planning a trip to Asia. He did not tell Pastor Adeboye. Pastor Adeboye just arrived. I saw the living among the dead. I just came here because I saw a vision. Prayed, and went back. He was not even told, oh, we are about to travel. He wasn't told. And then they were on their private jet to go for a mission in Asia. On the way, the flight developed a fault. The pilot told them. The pilot said, there is nothing I can do. They came. The thing landed. But after it landed back, when they were now testing it, they discovered that the fault that the plane developed, no plane in history survived it. No plane in history survived it. Bishop Oyedepo, you know, in that flight, that jet, was Bishop Oyedepo, his wife, Bishop Abioye, the second man in command, I think his wife. It was the son, David Oyedepo Jr., and the other senior officials. All of them could have perished in one day. Who is your father? The father came, saw the living among the dead, came and rebuked the spirit of death. Came and rebuked the spirit of death. When Bishop Oyedepo got the report of how dangerous that fault of the plane was, he said, let's have it. They had an all-night praise session that we are alive because of God. All night, he called all his favorite Nigerian traditional singers, gospel singers. They were dancing and praising up until morning. So in his words, he said, that was not a jet malfunction. It was a spiritual attack. A malfunction, the father wouldn't have seen it. Many people's casualties are simply because they are not covered. They are not covered. Time will not permit me of the many things we overcame as a people and as a ministry. Some of you will never know what would have even happened to you if not for the covering. You'll never know. You'll never know. I know what I enjoy from my spiritual fathers. When Shama was born, I was at the hospital some 4 years ago or so. July. So Shama was in the room there, And then I went to go and collect some things from the car. On the way, I called my spiritual father and I told him, the baby has come. It's a baby girl. Mami Kumaya was so excited. Anytime there is anybody giving birth to children who are girls, because she has never had a girl, the way she gets excited, oh, my girl, that one is my girl, she's my girl. It's Mami Kumaya. They began to bless the child, that was it. And then I got to the car, got whatever I was getting. As I was on my way back, Daddy Kumaya calls me. Himself calls, not me calling, he calls. So I'm wondering, maybe it pressed itself by mistake or whatever. But I pick up the call. And Daddy Kumaya, no greeting, nothing. I plead the blood over that girl. I speak life over her. Only to get back to the room, whatever you call it, the word. I don't know what it's called. That thing at the hospital. Only to get back to it. And I find this nurse. She is not smiling. She is not happy. Nothing. She's just trying to warm the baby. There was one light. She was shining on the baby. The baby, what. And then she says something that the baby can't breathe. Her lungs had not developed well. So she needs to be put in something. And then they took her to the ICU or whatever for children there. There were other children who it was not. They took the child there. There was one little hole like this where we can put our hands and just, rub hair on the tummy and all of that. That thing was a dangerous thing, because till today, Shama, when I get home like tonight, she will come to where I'm sitting. She will take off my clothes and put her head on my tummy. She doesn't like putting when I'm dressed up. And then she starts rubbing it like that. I'm like, she got it from the time she was just a few days old. I'm telling you. She likes touching it. She will put it and sniffing it. Okay, anyway. Daddy Kumaya released and he saw it before I got back to the ward. And then I said to them, no, I know that every time my wife has given birth, after 3 days we are out of the hospital. Simple. They said she has to stay here a little longer. I said, not my child. I went to one of my son's program. I think it was at Avani or something. When I came back, I told them, I said, I am discharging them. They are not staying here another day. I said, test the child. My child can't be here another day. She can't be in ICU. For what? For where? I am discharging them. No. I didn't even pay for all the things they were. I didn't even pay. Till today, I don't remember paying those people. They have never. Private hospital, you can't even not pay. You cannot not pay. Till today, because I went to their offices, I found them putting their legs on the desk, drinking coffee. When they told me the people are processing the papers, I said, right now, print something. Let my wife and my children out now. They said, we have to pay. I said, I will pay when I come back next time. Because you people, you told me that you are busy processing and you are here. The other one was on the balcony. I'm not coffee. My spiritual father picked it and began to pray. Who covers you? Bishop, where people will not be there right now? Where would we be? This was before 10,000 churches were planted in 1 year. Where would we be? Now they are building 180,000 seater. Where would we have seen all these things? Life is not natural. Stop having a natural approach to it. Don't. Your joblessness could be your coveringlessness. Church membership is not a guarantee for covering. Because some people are church members. Let me tell you what the old people used to say. They go to church, they say, they only go once a month. Membership fresh. Palalo. You know who's a palalo? I think. My mother was a deacon in that place. So I know all these things. I don't remember touching that money, even before I was born again. I never touched that money. Hey, God is dangerous. So some people are church members because they say, I want a church that when I have issues, they can check on me. You are not connected. your membership is by name. Your commitment zero. Fatherhood zero. Nobody knows anything about you. You say, my father, I'm not your father. Am I a careless father who's fathering children? I don't know. Everywhere. Only a dog does that. A dog doesn't know where puppies are. He just enters one side of the world, impregnates the thing there, returns. You don't even know. Tomorrow you are seeing puppies that looks like your dog. You're like, but I'm far from home. Spotty couldn't have come here. When you were sleeping, Spotty went to the other side of the town. Yeah. How can you say my father? If you say somebody is your father, what makes you to say they are your father? What is it? What resemblance is there? What resemblance is there? If imagine Kamugalo with his skin color and his wife with the same skin color, and then their child looks Chinese. Who should we ask? We will ask Kamugalo, which child is this? Where were you? Listen to this as I close. In Jeremiah 6:16, the Bible says, stand at the crossroads and look around. Ask for the directions to the old road, to the old path. Where is the good way? And walk in that way. And you shall find rest for your soul. But they said, we will not ask. We live in a generation that thinks they know it all. Limited, but they think they know it all. There are generational landmarks you should not tamper with. If Oyedepo running a ministry like this, he has a father. You, what are you running? You are running a tuck shop. You don't have a father. Somebody has a church with over 20,000 branches worldwide, doing projects of billions of dollars. You, what are you running that you are not covered? What are you running? A man that Forbes magazine has put as the richest pastor on earth. The others call themselves rich, but it has not been quantified by proper channels. There are other pastors, especially in Southern Africa. Forbes said, this is the list we can say Bishop Oyedepo is worth. Richest in the world. A man who is in the Guinness Book of Records, you are in the book of what? Registration entering Chopis during COVID. There is a path that the fathers of old have walked in, that sons must walk in it. It is a path that brings rest. There is no labor. They have already gone ahead of you. Sir, I don't do ministry like a bastard. I do ministry as one that has patterns that has been laid for him. Bishop Oyedepo says some years back, God ministered to him and said, pattern your ministry after Kenneth Hagin. He said, no problem, I pattern. When you read the books of Kenneth Hagin and of Oyedepo, you can see the similarity. Where you'll be saying it was this, the dates are never wrong. They always remember the dates correctly of encounters with God. There is a path that has been laid. Don't walk in the jungle when you can be walking in a path that has been laid ahead of you. Proverbs 22 and verse 28 says, remove not the ancient landmarks which your fathers have said. Proverbs 22 verse 28. Remove not the ancient landmarks which thy fathers have said. Don't try to start a new kind of Christianity. Spiritual covering offers the best covering that any other platform could think of offering. Proverbs 23 verse 10, a powerful portion of scripture. Remove not the old landmarks. I'm closing, please. Remove not the old landmarks and enter not into the fields of the fatherless. Enter not into the fields of the fatherless. That is, there are principles that fathers of old have practiced. Follow them. Don't be fatherless. Don't be. Fatherlessness is a curse. Fatherlessness says you have no background. Fatherlessness says you have no history. Fatherlessness says you start by yourself. Fatherlessness says you don't have an upper hand, a head start. You know, a child of a rich man has a startup from the father than the child of a poor man who has to start by themselves. So they say about whites and blacks that the whites are privileged and the blacks are not. We are starting from a negative balance. Yeah, they are starting from ground 10. We are starting from negative 10. Yeah, when you see them with their cars going to Victoria Falls, passing by here, you can't drive like them. You know, with jerry cans and all sorts, passing here with their 4x4s. And then I say, hey, white people, I also want to do that. Your father was not their father. Their father left them a lot of things. You, who left you? Who left for you? Who left for you? For some of you, this is the first taste of fatherhood. Don't pretend you don't need it. Some of you, your fathers were present, but they were not active. Don't deceive yourself. I'm privileged to be born in a family with my father and my mother. But my father, I can't remember one lesson my father taught me. Very good, I can't remember one. I don't blame him. His father died when my father was 11 years old. I've never seen my grandfather. I'm happy that my surname is. I've never seen him. Not even a picture. I don't know him. I don't know him. So my father was not fathered. My grandmother did not marry again. My father wasn't father. For him to father me, he was to start it. So when I found my spiritual father, he played two roles of a father spiritually and biologically. When you find a girl, you run to him. You. You come from a polygamous family. You can't subject yourself to what we are. Major decisions. There is a decision I'm to make about this ministry. I said to my leaders, I sat with them down. I said, I have to make a trip to Nigeria and sit with my father. Can I tell you something? I hear God. But a father does not hear God as the sons may hear. A father has experience. You see, sometimes the problem of some of you who have feelings for girls and for boys, the problem is your feelings. We have walked this path. You don't have to be heartbroken the way I've been heartbroken. I don't have to hear God. I can look at you and tell you this guy is not correct. Look, your mother's here. You know, if a guy is bringing your child at home, you have a daughter, and this guy is coming to drop her, and then the way he takes off, about to inside it all, you know, you can just look and say to your child, you didn't hear a voice from God, you didn't see a vision, you know, you have experience. Can I tell you something? Our mothers can spot a girl who's pregnant 2 seconds. 2 seconds pregnant, they can say, all of a sudden. And they say, yo, what are we? She herself, she doesn't know she's pregnant. She has not done the test. But the mother can see some things and say, She doesn't have to be what do you call these people that deliver children? Midwife. She doesn't have to be a midwife or a medical professional. She just has to be the mother who has lived the life. She can look and say, Obanai. Simple. Sir, I can look at somebody and say, Obanai will never last in ministry. You know, this attitude, never. This one won't last. Yeah, I can look at somebody and say, Obanai, there is no ministry here. Just watch. One boy some years back was starting a church in this country. Started the church. I think we are about 3-4 years or something ourselves. Or 6, I don't know. After you are starting, he said, I'm here to take over. He put on Facebook, he said, I cannot be renting a warehouse after 5 years of ministry. I showed First Lady the message. I said, watch this boy. It's not that he won't be renting. He won't have ministry. On his 3rd anniversary, he was using a tent outside the city. Before the 3 years, 2 months, he left ministry. Till today, he's not in ministry. He's trying to do business. Sometimes he wants to come back. He will have a service, and then he doesn't hold. You never know. The next thing now, he's putting videos of him with girls twerking in front of him. The entire prophet. Yeah. Because bata vale mahira. Look, there is wisdom in experience. When I tell you, refill, cook for your husband, it's not because I want to make you suffer. I know experience. I know the power of the food cooked by a wife to the husband. Me. The decisions have changed. We are 21st century modern women. You don't understand. These days we can hire chef. We can do takeaways. You will do takeaways. They will take your husband exactly as the takeaway. You take away food, they take away the husband. Take away, everything is take away. Husband take away. Food take away. You think that, look, I just have to look at the girl you say you like. I look at the way she's sitting when you are in the office with me. I will know there is no wife. Bring her. I will know there is wife or there is no wife. Simple. I don't have to know her surname. Experience. On top of having mentored a lot of people who come, I want to enter a relationship, tomorrow it doesn't work. Like a research. Yeah, I've researched. I can tell you, this one is, there is a husband here. There is a wife here. So when I go to my father for some decisions, it's not because I've not heard God. I hear God, but he has experience. He'll tell me, boy, in ministry, this and this and that. Simple. He doesn't have to pray. For you to hear God, you pray. For me to tell you some things, I've lived them. I don't need prayer. Spiritual covering eliminates errors. The challenges I've gone through, I was going through them for you. And I can tell you, be careful of this when you are doing this thing. Be careful. One of my girls was telling me she wants to do something academically and all of that. I said to her, my daughter, don't. I don't have to. She said, Daddy, have you heard God? Did you pray about it for me? I don't have to hear God. I went through it when I was your age. And if anybody was to be my age, I will advise them this way. I don't have to hear God. I don't have to hear God. If you are to come to me and you are doing ministry, I will advise you about various things. Various things about ministry. The calamities I've gone through, you shouldn't go through them. If you go through the challenges I went through, you are a wrong son. You are a wrong daughter. If you get heartbroken in the platforms I got heartbroken, you are a wrong son, a wrong daughter. If you make the same mistakes I made financially, you are a wrong person. Because you never learned them from me. Praise the Lord. It's going to be a good month. If you don't like, don't come to church. The trap of Satan is disconnecting sons from fathers. You know why? I should tell you. As long as you are connected, Satan can't enter you. Look, as long as you are in this building, the rain can't pour down on you. But if you get deceived and you get lured to go outside and play in the sun, and then it starts raining while you are there, that's the only time the rain will come on you. Many people are lured away from their fathers by the things that look lucrative outside. That church has a buzzing youth ministry. I agree you like dancing on Friday night. Go and dance. Hey, they do like disco. Go. Hey. This is where the challenge of some Christians are. Because they don't want to be rebuked or anything. One rebuke. I want a pastor who will be, let me tell you something. I am not fathering you for your comfort. Forget it. If you want comfort, there are many churches. Go. You can go to any one of them. You can go. You are here. You are sleeping your wife. You slept your wife. I don't pray for you. I lay my hands on you. Agree, you laid your hand on your wife. I will also lay mine on you. It looks like you like boxing. Let's box. Simple. Let's box. You slept there. Let me slap you. So you couldn't retaliate because you are not her size. So now let's see size versus size. It's very simple. Many Christians like comfort. They don't want to be Christians. What does Hebrews say? He says, follow your spiritual leaders because they have a responsibility over you and they are to account to God on your state. How have you been? What chapter is it of Hebrews? Is it 13? Is it 13? Verse 17. Look at what it says. Obey them that have rule over you. Try it in the Message Bible and then the Amplified. I have to close. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Everybody, eyes on the screen. Be responsive to your pastoral leaders. Listen to their counsel. They are alert to the condition of your lives and they work under the strict supervision of God. I am supervised. God will ask, what did you do with Cyril? So when I tell you, leave that boy, it's not because I'm jealous. Well, jealous what? You know, how can daddy break my heart? You can go to Tony Braxton to and break your heart. Nonsense. Was it not your story you told in the church? You found a job. One place. You remember? Mommy called and said, "Ow, Kamu. Kamu. That's what you'll be doing. Kamu." I'm not the one who shared it first. You are the one. I'm just writing on your testimony, sir. He says, wait, why did you remove the verse? Eh? He said, they have they are under strict. Do you know that God is supervising me? He is watching what I'm feeding you. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So when you have a house helper and you tell them, let the kids eat. When I come, I ask her, did the kids eat? She is not feeding the kids what she wants to feed them. She is under supervision. So I'm the one who will tell her, you are starving my children. I will fire you. You know when God says I will fire you, he means what? You are dying. I'm not ready. My teachings are because I'm under supervision. But look at how he continues. Contribute to the joy of their leadership. That is you are being taught the principles of the house, you go opposite. When I think of you, what comes into my heart? Yeah, you should ask yourself that question. When Daddy thinks of me, what comes into his heart, into his mind? Yeah, there are people when they enter the office, you know, a problem has come. Others, when they enter, you know, my life is better. You don't want me to say that. I will say it. There are people when they send a message, you know, hallelujah, Jesus. Others, when they send, it's problem. I was telling first today, I said, there is somebody at church I know. Say somebody. The person they disappear from church. The next time they send a message, Daddy, my business is, they are refusing to pay us. Please, sir, pray for us. And then I pray. He gets paid. He disappears. The next time he comes, is Daddy, I'm submitting for a tender. Stand with me in prayer. I stand. He won't come and say you stood correctly. The tender has come. I saw people entering a very dangerous platform of life. I officiate in their weddings and they disappear from the church. 90% of them are not enjoying marriage. 90. I know them. I know what is happening to them. I lay hand on you and say you are blessed. And your marriage. And then you leave the church. After Thanksgiving of 10 pula. let me even pass through this one. You can't plan for your wedding and not plan for your Thanksgiving. If your wedding gown is more than your Thanksgiving, you are wicked. I know what I'm saying. You know what we did after we got married? They give all the gifts that came and all the money. Half of all the gifts that we got, we divided, we gave to the church. Half of all the gifts. You give us carpet. If there are two, half, one goes there. You give a coffee machine, half, one goes there. Half of all the gifts. Yeah, 2010. Yeah. Half of all the gifts. Some of you, all those gifts are still in your house. Some of them you have not started using. Half I give. Half of my goods I give to. We know Bible. Your Thanksgiving, your dedication for a child is 10 pula. You say God knows my status. He knows that the people that were catering, you paid them 150,000. He knows, all right. Your shoe was 3.5. Your ring is 7,000, but your Thanksgiving is 10 pula. What a Thanksgiving! You are really grateful. You are so grateful. You are so grateful that your gratitude is only in you. It's your ring, your shoes, your belt. You even bought a belt of 300 pula, but your Thanksgiving is 10 pula. Kai. I was talking like a father right there. When you are dedicating your children and you are doing Thanksgiving, we won't open the envelope, but you are the one to prove it. You can't be Thanksgiving with 10 pula. Praise the Lord. He said, bring joy to their leadership. Why? And then there's another word. I won't mention that word. I don't know that word. I don't understand it. It's between you and your God. He says, why would you want to make things harder for them? Why? Can I talk like a father again? There are people that, in fact, I don't think we have them anymore. There are people who used to have any issue in the church, that individual, the name will be mentioned. They can, if the issue is the church car was taken, the petrol finished on the highway, they will tell us the passenger was this person. That those people were always, any issue in the church. If we are going for a wedding in, what's that place of the wedding? That one. Mlamba Kwen. And the only car that had a tire puncher, they will say the passengers was this individual. There were every issue there must be, even with the people who didn't know, they know. Yeah. You should ask yourself why people come to you with issues of the church. Yeah. If they say Mr. So-and-so has a girlfriend at church, why are they telling you? And then tomorrow they are coming, Sister So-and-so is pregnant. Why are they telling you? Are you the minister of counseling? How come you? How come you know everything about everyone? What is it that is in you that attracts all this dikhang? Furniture, all the people in the church, you know their things. You know who's flirting with who. That you even arrange that they meet in your house. Why you? Why? Yeah. We once had somebody in the church. This person. In fact, when I want to tell my wife, I would say, let me tell you something about CNN. I call them CNN. Center of Negative News. That girl, there is nothing she didn't know about anybody. Nothing. Everyone she knew. Beyond even our church, outside, other pastors in town, she knew things about them. I said, that one, she will never go far in life. Till today. Can't go anywhere. You know, there are people you wonder, which prayer must I pray for you? Because we did Night of Wonders. We did 4 nights of vengeance. You remember 4 nights of vengeance? Devil out. But their life did not change. Which prayer? I anointed you. I gave you if communion you didn't take from the. I'm the one who gave you to the mouth. I put the blood of Jesus on you. Nothing is changing. Why? Let me tell you something in my closing. Spiritual connectivity is not hard. When you are connected, you will just see it. Simple. Things flow. I don't call my father often. No. I was surprised to hear Pastor Ibiomi saying that in his lifetime, he has only called Bishop Oyedepo once. He has known Bishop Oyedepo for over 20, 30 years or something. He has only called him once. He never even sent him a text message. Nothing. This, when Oyedepo preaches, finishes on Sunday, I get all his sermons, that's it. And then he knows, he asks, how is the church? I tell him, finished. Spiritual connectivity is not you coming to my house and sitting with me drinking tea. When you are connected, you are connected. Results will speak for themselves. My father is in Nigeria. I'm here. I don't talk to him as much. Results speak for themselves. Is somebody hearing? It's that simple. But when you see hardship in your life, ask yourself about your connectivity. How come everyone is in the same building? Only where you are, the rain is coming down. Let me tell you what my spiritual father once said. Not all fingers are the same. How come yours is the shortest? Why is your own the shortest finger? You are always short of things. How come? We pray for others. We just lay hands and say, blessed, blessed, blessed. For you, we must say blessed and then cast out and then deliver and then, how come you are blessed is not enough? Some people can open something where now the external forces can enter them and break their covering. The greatest way that the enemy wants to get into the lives of the people primarily is to disconnect them from their fathers. Once you are away from your fathers, he knows I can access you. It's there in the Bible. The prodigal son said, Father, give me what belongs to me. He went. At first, life was good for him. I can't ask a man tonto. Not asking anybody for anything. If he wants cheese, he buys croissants. Everything was just, filet mignon. Guy was buying Gucci as he wanted, but and he had many friends again. And then Satan, you know what Satan does? Your immediate disconnection is the most blessed time. In fact, the week you disconnect, you can get the greatest appointment of your career. And then you're like, I knew, as long as I was there, things could not work for me. Now that I left, one time somebody said to me that God is calling them to pray, and then they shouldn't come to church. I said, really? Wow. The person used a very dangerous statement. And then he said, okay, no. And every time I'm not coming to church and I'm praying in my house, the breakthroughs that I've been believing God for, that's when they are coming. I said, oh, okay. Continued. I knew where it's going to end. It will end in tears. Oh. Jiki life. Husband, wife, jobs, finished. Boom, boom, at the same time. I watched. So, okay. Yeah. Let me tell you something. As long as you are connected here, you think you are faithful to your wife. You are not faithful. There is a covering that makes you to not go and sleep with that girl. Leave, you will go. In fact, the one that is worse than the one that when you are under the covering, you once thought of. The kind that you are wondering, who is this? How did I even do this? Because you think people are talking about their young wife because they like talking about young wife. There is a spirit that makes them. Let them leave. When they get there, the young wife will look like an old wife. So what the enemy does is he disconnects people from their fathers because as long as you are covered, he can't access you. For Satan to get to me right now, he has to go through Oyedepo and then Komaya to get to me. He can't. But when you are alone, Satan can come. That says, woe unto him that is alone. For when he is brought down, there is nobody to help him to get up. Can I tell you something? When you make errors under a covering, the errors don't have the same impact. Simple. They don't have the same impact. In fact, the endorsement of your spiritual covering can make your errors to look like there is nothing. Let's say, for example, a man in the church here happens to make a mistake and go outside of his marriage. There is a way we handle it as spiritual parents that the wife and the man can never feel the impact of it. But there is a way that you'll be fighting your husband because there is not even anybody to talk to. You are just left to your emotions. Hey, Thomas, you went to Magdalene. Thomas, you left me for Magdalene. Leave the house. Leave the house and then start using all kinds of words. There is a way a spiritual covering gives you dignity. Dignity. My parents can't tell you that I have ever fought with my wife. I've never gone to them and say my wife has done this. No. If I have an issue, I go to my spiritual parents. Guess what? As far as home is concerned, we have a very quarrel-free marriage. Spiritual covering gives dignity. You know, after you fight before your brother and your sister will never accept your spouse. Go, even after you forgive your spouse, they will never. Every time they'll be like, is that one? Is that one? You go for another wedding, is that one? The way they treat her is because of those issues. When they see you nice to your wife on the wedding day, holding her hand, they are like, chance about threatening one hour. Either way, spiritual covering gives you dignity.